There's some major problems with RRSP and with RRSP season coming up soon that I want to address, so in this way you could avoid having these problems affect you negatively. Before I get started, here's a quick disclaimer. This is not tax advice. This is not investment advice. I don't know your own personal situation. Please speak to a qualified professional that understands all the moving components that have to deal with your personal finance situation. The last thing I want you to do is to take this information, run with it, and then make some moves that could be costly. Whew. Okay, now that that's out of the way, I'm going to talk about the three major problems that I personally encounter all the time that have to do with RRSPs, and this is what causes the mistakes with them. Mistake number one is ignorance. People, and we're not really shown this, right, how RRSPs fundamentally work. So therefore, if we don't know how something works, it's kind of hard for us to use it properly. Mistake number two is misinformation. And this is where we collect information or hear opinions from people that have a lack of understanding and clarity. So therefore, we get a biased opinion negatively about how these things work. So we generally steer away from them. And problem number three that I encounter is people are just trying to use these RRSPs without an understanding of an overall plan, how they work for us. RRSPs are simply a strategy that you attach to a plan. They are not an investment. Okay, so let's tackle the first problem real quick, ignorance. What is an RRSP? Well, an RRSP is a registered retirement savings plan. Now, conceptually, what these are is it allows you to lower the amount of taxes you have to pay the government. So if you want to pay less in taxes, you might want to look into an RRSP. And if you don't, it's okay. I'm sure they like using your money. Now here's how it works. Let's say, for example, you've went out and you've made $80,000 in the 2021 year. Now you have the opportunity to put money into your RRSP, which is going to lower your taxable income, which also lowers the amount of tax that you have to give the government. Now they do this deal with you because they want people saving for their retirement. So here's how it works. You've made $80,000, you put $10,000 into your RRSP. Now your taxable income's lowered to $70,000, which again lowers your tax bill. So the nice part about RRSP is it allows you to get your money back or not have to pay as much to the government, and those extra dollars that you've saved, you can now use those dollars to help you in different ways, whether it be get out of debt or to actually put it back into an RRSP or a tax-free savings. So how much your RRSP can save you really depends on your own personal situation. And again, this is why you want to speak with a qualified professional that can have a look at all the moving components. But for the most part, people are spending anywhere from 15% to 25% to 30%, all the way up to 48% of every dollar they earn. Let's say they make $100, that means that anywhere from 25, 30, 48% of that $100 is going towards the government. So again, you put money in, that allows you to get it come back depending on what's called your marginal tax rate, MTR for short. And here's just a quick look at how these work. So again, the more we make, the more we pay, right? Based off of our tiered tax system. So our goal is to put money into the RRSP, which lowers our taxable income, gives us a refund or allows us to have less tax bill owing, and then we could use those dollars to help ourselves get ahead. So let's address problem number two, and this is the most common one that I see. People have heard about RRSPs, but they're bad for whatever reason, right? And again, that's why you want to really have a look to be like, what is it that the person's talking about? There was a gentleman that came and put on some big conference that said RRSPs are a bad investment. And I'm like, well, okay, you knucklehead. An RRSP isn't even an investment. An RRSP is a strategy. What's inside of your RRSP is the investment. Now, the investment you choose is between you and the person you're working with that's hopefully working towards your plan. And here's why. Let's say, for example, we're calling RRSP a vehicle. Not all of them are created equal, unfortunately. There's some vehicles that are not so good, and then there's some vehicles that are quite a bit better, right? It all depends on what it is that a person's trying to achieve. So now this vehicle that's very good, in most people's cases, let's say now all of a sudden they're trying to go off-roading, right? Well, are you gonna take a Lamborghini off-roading? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So again, it depends on where you are in life, the strategy that it's attached to, and what you're trying to do. Now, the investment that's inside of your RRSP, that's what can make a world of difference, because again, they're not all created equal. And a lot of times when I'm reviewing these RRSPs, it doesn't make logical sense. So that's why you want to have a look to be like, is this RRSP working for me? Is it part of a strategy? And is the investment good? Because that's what makes the difference. Third and final problem when it comes to an RRSP is a lack of strategy, right? Again, we want to make sure that this makes sense. And that's why I deeply encourage everybody to at least go and speak with some sort of qualified, licensed individual or professional that I can have a look at all the different moving components and see, does it make sense? Because not all the time do they make sense for each person. But from now until March 1st, again, you have the ability to lower your previous year's taxable income, which could be advantageous, and it may be doing it through yours, doing it through a spousal contribution, making sure that you have the room on your notice of assessment, that you're not over contributing. There's a lot of different things and questions that need to be asked, and that's why, again, it's only part of a strategy that helps you achieve whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. Because again, if we're trying to tighten a screw, and then we take a hammer to it, it's not gonna work out so well. So that's why there's always a tool for the job, and you're trying to think, how am I gonna use this tool appropriately? And is this even the right tool for the job that I'm trying to accomplish? I'm out of breath. There's RRSPs on a very basic level. There's probably gonna be a lot more questions. And if you do, feel free to ask myself or to ask the person that you trust and that you speak with and work with. That's all.